Putin's sham Easter truce was marketing ploy aimed at Trump, Paris says. Zelensky suggests simplest way for Russia to cease fire and about meeting with allies in London on peace deal suggestions. The latest news next. President Volodymyr Zelensky has stated that Ukraine is maintaining its proposal addressed to the Russian Federation to stop strikes on civilian infrastructure and outlined what he has called an obvious, simplest and most reliable way to achieve this, reported by Zelensky on Facebook.
Nevertheless, Ukraine stands by its proposal, at the very least, not to strike civilian infrastructure. And we expect a clear answer from Moscow. We are ready for any conversation on how to ensure this. There is an obvious, simplest, and most reliable way. Stop missile and long-range drone attacks. That alone would automatically ensure the safety of all civilian infrastructure. A ceasefire, real and lasting, must be the first step toward a secure and enduring peace.
Zelensky noted that no air raid warnings had been issued at Easter and that some sections of the front had been quiet. This proves it is possible. It is possible when Russia chooses to reduce the killing, he said. However, Zelensky added that Russia had rejected his proposal to maintain relative calm after Easter.
Today, there have been even more Russian strikes. By just the middle of the day, by 1300, there have already been nearly 3,000 instances of shelling, assaults, and other strikes. There were launches of Russian missiles, Shaheds, nearly 90 aerial bombs, the use of heavy weaponry and drones. Russian attacks continue across the entire front line.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that representatives of Ukraine, the United Kingdom, France and the United States are to meet to discuss a peaceful settlement of the war in London on the 23rd of April, reported by Zelensky on X following a conversation with the KP Keir Starmer. Zelensky stressed that already this Wednesday our representatives will be working in London.
Ukraine, the United Kingdom, France and the United States. We are ready to move forward as constructively as possible, just as we have done before, to achieve an unconditional ceasefire, followed by the establishment of a real and lasting peace.
The meeting in London will be the second after Paris, where the United States, Ukraine and its European allies are discussing the American plan for a ceasefire in the Russo-Ukrainian war. Bloomberg reported that the announced meeting will be a continuation of last week's meeting in Paris, where American peace proposals were discussed. According to the agency's sources, the US will be represented by US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and Kit Kellogg. European countries will reportedly be represented by foreign ministers and national security advisors. The sources stressed that the plans for the talks were still being finalized and might change. Jean-Noël Barrot, France's Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs, believes that the so-called Easter truce between Russia and Ukraine was a marketing ploy to secure the trust of US President Donald Trump, reported by Politico, a Brussels-based politics and policy news organization, as reported by European Pravda. Barrot noted that the sham temporary truce announced by Kremlin leader dictator Vladimir Putin on Saturday, the 19th of April, which Kyiv immediately and repeatedly accused Moscow of violating, was merely for show.
The Easter truce that Putin announced somewhat unexpectedly was a marketing operation, a charm operation aimed at preventing President Trump from becoming impatient and angry.
The New York Post has noted that a joint commission to monitor the ceasefire is being considered as part of US President Donald Trump's peace plan. It would include representatives of Ukraine, Russia, and a non-NATO country, reported by European Pravda with reference to the New York Post. Although the details of the peace deal have not yet been determined, a senior administration official told the news outlet that they could include the deployment of European forces to Ukraine if a ceasefire is reached. The official said, quote, "The hard part is what does a security force look like? We're calling that a resiliency force." The resiliency force is part of the security guarantees that the Ukrainians want and we hope they get, he added. A separate force to monitor the ceasefire is also being discussed. It would be a joint commission of Russians, Ukrainians, and a third non-NATO country. The mission would monitor the front line to ensure that both sides lay down their arms. The official said the US could also be involved, but not as boots on the ground, but the monetary force along with a third party. The Wall Street Journal reported on Sunday, the 20th of April, that Trump's proposal might also include US recognition of Ukrainian Crimea that was occupied by Russia in 2014 as Russian, although the New York Post stressed that it had not been able to independently verify this information. As a near-Trump administration official said on Friday, the 18th of April, that Kyiv was most concerned about the land part of the deal during talks with the US delegation last week, meaning that the Russian-occupied parts of Ukraine would be recognized as sovereign territory of the Russian Federation. The official said that Ukraine seems to be ready to give up 20% of its land if this is considered a de facto rather than de jure recognition of the territory. Russia launched 54 Shahed-type attack drones and various types of decoy UAVs on Ukraine on the night of the 21st to 22nd of April. Ukrainian Air Defense Forces have downed 38 of them, reported by Ukrainian Air Force on Telegram.
As of 9 a.m., 38 Shahed-type attack UAVs, as well as drones of other types, have been confirmed destroyed over the east, north, south and central parts of the country. A total of 16 enemy decoy drones have disappeared from radar without causing adverse effects.
Odessa and Kyiv regions came under fire. The drones were launched from the Russian cities of Milorova, Kursk, Bryansk and Primorsk-Akhtarsk, as well as from temporarily occupied Crimea. The Air Force added that a new wave of Russian drones attacks began at 8 a.m. with groups of strike UAVs entering from the north via Sumy region. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Like